Hello, welcome again, guys. Today we're on chapter 6 of your books and we're gonna learn how to deal with percents. Percent is nothing more as decimals and it's nothing more as fractions. And follow me, guys. Let's follow along to understand what I'm talking about. If I give you an example, 1/2, that fraction could be written as a decimal, correct? What do? Well, you divide. Your numerator divided by your denominator. Doesn't fit, of course. Remember, the decimals to the right side of that digit. And we could add as many zeros as we need. Does 2 fit into 10? Yes, 0.5. So 1/2 is the same thing, the equivalent to 0.5 as a decimal notation. Now, to make it a percent, look at the word percent. Let's say in Spanish, por ciento. It's telling you to multiply it by 100. You don't have to waste your time, guys. Just grab that decimal and move it twice to the right side. So we have it here. We move it once. We're missing one more, so we add a 0. So 1/2 of a fraction is equal to 0.5 of a decimal, which is equal to 50%. Let's do it backwards. Let's say we have 62.5%. How can we make that percent into a decimal notation? Now we want to get rid of the percent. We want to divide by 100. Don't waste your time. All you're doing is grabbing that decimal and moving it twice to the left. So we see the decimal. This is your left side. So let's move it twice to the left. And that will give you the equivalent of 0.625 as a decimal notation. How can you write that in a fractional mode? Remember when from chapter 2, just write the same number you see. Count the digits, it's 3, that means it's 3 zeros. So 625 over 1,000. Of course, that's not the final answer because we have to learn to reduce and reduce. If you remember the trick, we could divide by quarters, 24 and one more, that's 25 out of 40. We could divide by 5, which would equal to 5/8. Cool? So 5/8 is equivalent to 0.625, which is equal to 62.5%. So decimal could be written as a fraction, could be written as a percent, and so on. Let's see more examples, guys. So if I give you 0.008, how can we write that in a percent form? We move the decimal twice to the right, so that will equal to 0.8 of a percent. Make sure you still put the decimal sign. In a fractional mode, we would put 8 over 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Remember, you got to divide by 4, by 8, by half. So I'm going to divide by half. So 4, 500. Half of that, 2, 250. Half of that, 1 over 125. So 1 over 125 is the same thing as 0.008, which is the same thing as 0.8 of a percent. You have your doubts, you can always divide, guys. If you 1 divided by 125 should equal to 0.08. If we multiply that by 100, that will give us the 0.8 of a percent. So there's ways to check your answer, guys, if you need to. So now let me show you how to deal with the word problems of the percents. Because percents is really simple, guys. It's just making it a percent or making it a decimal or vice versa. Oh, let me show you one more trick before I go into the other one. If I give you 1/4 of a percent, I'm not giving you a fraction, I'm giving you a percent. And the goal is to make that a decimal and make that a percent and so a fraction. If you want to make that a decimal, go ahead and divide like I showed you earlier. It's still 0.25, but it's still 0.25 of a percent. Remember the trick? You still have to move it twice to the left. Therefore, that will be equal to 0.0025 or 25 10,000ths. If you want to write that as a fraction, we would have to write 25 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 10,000ths. Then we're going to divide that by quarters, and that would equal to 1 over 400. Guess what? The answer was kind of given in here. If you remember fractions, and the goal to get rid of a percent is to divide by 100. But if you remember, how do we divide? We change it to a reciprocal form and we change it to a multiplication form. What's 1 times 1? 1. What's 4 times 100? 400. So if I give you a trick, 7/8 of a percent, and the problem is asking you to make it a fraction, just write 7 out of 800. Yep, that's it. That's a trick. If it has a whole number, I don't know, let's put, for example, 1.25%. What you would do is 4 times 1 plus 1. You make it improper, so that's equal to 5/4 of a fraction of percent. And now you could just write it over 5/400. If you could reduce, go for it. Can we reduce that by 5? Yeah, 1. Divide that by 5, so 1/80th. Cool? All right. So now let's follow along how to work with percents. With percents, there are going to be 3 things they're going to be asking for. To locate the total, to locate the part, or to locate the percent. And you're like, I don't know what's what. Let me give you word problems. What is 8% of 20? Eight is 12% of what in a percent problem? 8 is what percent of 20? Do you see the difference in those 3 problems, guys? Here are 2 important keywords. Is enough. Is enough. Whatever's to the kind of most likely to the left side of is would always represent your part. Whatever's most likely to the right side of the word of represents your total. And if there's something with a percent sign, well, yeah, you guessed it, that's a percent. What I'm trying to get at is with word problems, if you analyze those keywords, that will make this problem, this technique really simple. What technique am I trying to show you? The rule of 3, proportion method, however you want to call it. You do this, guys. You will write the total on the top, on the upper left side, on the upper left hand, the 100%. On the bottom of it, we make it equal to the part, and we divide that by the percent. Like what? For example, let's do this example. Let's call it A, B, and C. Example 8, do we have the total? No. So leave it blank. That's your unknown. That's what you're looking for. What do we put on the bottom? 100%. Equals to the part. What's a part in this example? 8. So we put 8. What do we put on the bottom? The percent sign, 12%. That's it. How do you solve it? Multiply across 8 and divide. So literally, you can take out your calculator, guys, and say 8 times 100. Guess what? You don't even have to worry about making it a decimal or moving the percent or nothing. Just 8 times 100 divided by 12. So literally, guys, take out your calculator and say, oops, low battery. 8 times 100 divided by 12. Gives you a value? Well, guess what? That's your total. Man, maybe we could round to the tens, to the hundreds, to the thousands. We just round to whatever they're asking for. So that would be the total in example A. 66.67 or whatever they want you to round to. Example B, let's set it up. Do we have the total? Yes, 20. So 20 underneath 100% equals, do we have the part? No. So leave it blank, put an X. That's your unknown. Do we have a percent sign? We do. So we put it on the bottom. How do you solve it? 20 times 8% divided by 100. So literally 20 times 8 divided by 100. You see, you don't have to worry about the percents or nothing or simple. Take out your calculator if you need to. 20 times 8 divided by 100. 1.6. What is that? Well, that's a part. $1.60 or 1.6. That would be the part we would be locating in that example. And to end it up, example C, do we have the total? Yes, 20. So again, 20, 100% equals 8 is the part. So 8 goes on the upper right-hand side. And the percent, well, that's what you're looking for. Leave it alone, leave it blank. That's your unknown. So how do we solve it? we cross multiply and divide. Literally 8 times 100 divided by 20. You want to use your calculator? Go for it. 8 times 100 divided by 20 gives you 40. What's that? That's a percent. That's equal to. So that's how you will need to solve these problems, guys. Cool. So in the next video, we'll do some word problems from the book, and then we'll do the practice quiz, guys. And I hope that will help you for this chapter. All right, guys, take care. See you later.